Today, Sony is ashamed of their own discs, but maybe we can make them feel more shame? This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where we've just been looking longingly at our discs.
Love looking at our discs.
Honestly, pretty proud of our discs.
Can't believe Sony is trying to take our discs away.
You mostly have cartridges, though, don't you?
I told you that in confidence.
Xbox has been really putting their foot in it lately, so all Sony needs to do is ride out the current wave of Microsoft hate and let the goodwill wash over them. So anyway, they're going to stop making discs. Announced on July 1st, Sony has said that they will stop producing games on PlayStation discs as of January 2028, after which games for Sony consoles will be available only as digital downloads. This has sparked a massive pushback, with users citing myriad reasons having a disc option is critical, being it for reselling or trading, the ongoing topic of games preservation, or even just that in a lot of places it still absolutely sucks to download 140 gigs of unoptimized video game. Previously, Sony has been, we'll say, receptive to consumer feedback of this intensity, specifically in 2021 when they agreed to not offline the PS3 and PS Vita storefronts, which had threatened to remove all possible access to many games of those eras. Of course, they've now also reversed that reversal, and in another statement from July 1st have said those storefronts will be going dark by June 2027. I suppose that's at least plenty of warning, so as long as you buy and download the games now, you'll still have access to them after the stores go dark. In other news, Sony's removing 550 Studio Canal titles from the PlayStation Movie Store due to expiration of licensing agreements, which will result in the titles being deleted from the PlayStation libraries of anyone who purchased them. So if you own Paddington 2 or Day of the Dead, no you don't. We just have to have faith that Sony are going to be trustworthy shepherds of a digital-only library, a library they've repeatedly demonstrated they would rather burn to the ground.
Hideki Kamiya, formerly of Capcom and currently of Clover's Inc., jumped on the social medias again to lament the fact that Resident Evil still isn't a cozy farm sim. First, let me back up by pushing my joystick down while trying not to rotate left or right. Hideki Kamiya worked on the original Biohazard games way back in the day when they were human tank simulators. But what he really wants to make now is a game lacking all the pants-shitting terror. Quote, if I made it, it'd turn into a game where retired Leon goes fishing in the countryside, forages for wild veggies, bakes bread, walks the dog, and tends a home garden. Sounds fun, Kamiya-san. If only you still made video games for Capcom. Oh shit, you do? Well, there are a lot of anime out there that are very cozy and are easily adapted into a video game, such as Non Non Biyori, Kusunoki's Garden of the Gods, and Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. Hell, Kusunoki literally looks like it's cribbed heavily from Okami. In fact, here's my suggestion. Make a mode in Okami where Amaterasu gathers wild plants, fixes the oven of the grandma next door, and takes her pet human Leon Kennedy for a walk. Instant hit!
The gaming industry appears to be collapsing around us, and many are wondering if now is the time to crack open each other's heads and feast on the goo inside. Epic CEO Tim Sweeney seems to be handling it about as well as the rest of us, only instead of posting through it in the comments of unrelated YouTube videos like we are, he has access to journalists. At the same time that Sony is ending physical distribution of games while deleting digital purchases from customers' libraries, and Xbox is pinky swearing that, they're totally 100% not reducing their investment in games, a statement that somehow manages to combine unverifiable vagueness with a transparent lie, Sweeney is using his platform to explore the wound searing his psyche. Valve is not playing with him. In a wide-ranging interview with PC Gamer, in which he was repeatedly prompted to either regurgitate talking points or agree with a flattering statement, Sweeney discussed both the unfairness of Valve's AI disclosure policy and their apparent disinclination to join Tim Sweeney's Team Open project. Sweeney's irritation with Steam's AI disclosure policy comes from a rational place. Epic makes the now deeply AI-integrated Unreal Engine, and that disclosure is going to harm sales, an effect he calls Steam's scarlet letter of AI. It's a position that makes sense, while also being stupid and self-defeating, but that's his prerogative. By contrast, Valve seems to know that its bread is lavishly buttered consumer side up and is responsive to their needs. It's a real conundrum. Discussing Team Open, a project that would set an industry standard for interoperability between games and platforms, Sweeney mentions the importance of in-game purchases to a game's success and that interoperability of those purchases would magnify their value. The topic culminates with him saying, quote, just pick 2 random games and ask which of their things might interact properly, like Fortnite and Call of Duty. Is there any reason that a dance in one place shouldn't work in the other? Forget press F to pay respects. Sweeney wants soap to hit the gritty, which, sure, whatever, who fucking cares anymore? Ultimately, Sweeney dismisses Valve's resistance to Team Open as a serious impediment because, quote, they don't have Fortnite and Riot's games and Genshin Impact. And to all of that I say, good. We're not snobs, and it's not like we dislike children, but we are better than children who play Fortnite, and I think it's time we had a little self-respect. Each barrier that can be erected between me and someone who does play Fortnite is an objective moral good, probably for both of us, but I wouldn't know because caring about the well-being of a Fortnite player is like naming a veal calf. Finally, Valve may be a platform that helpfully pings you whenever one of your friends starts playing a hentai game and then pings you again when they stop, but it's never once told me that a friend is playing Genshin Impact, and in 2026, that's a spiritual work of mercy.
Dbrand, the Canadian manufacturer of cool accessories and industry leader in snarky marketing, has had to take a public L this week. When the Steam Machine was first announced, Dbrand immediately posted an image of a product idea with a link to be notified when the product would be available for sale. 15,000 potential customers clicked that link on the same first day, and Dbrand got to work on the product. Well, they got to work on designing and making the product, but forgot to reach out to the appropriate IP owners to ask for permission to make the thing in the first place. Dbrand really put the cart before the horse here, but have you guessed which cubicle object was in that cart? Question mark block? Allspark? Creeper face? Initiating surprise in 3, 2, 1. Surprise! It was the companion cube. Ultimately, just like the cake, the notification link to buy an enclosure that turns your Steam machine into an unflinchingly loyal six-sided friend is also a lie. Humble Pie, on the other hand, is real, and Dbrand has been eating with both hands. While it's unclear whether Dbrand just forgot to ask for legal permission to produce the accessory, or had hoped the correct time to do so would eventually reveal itself, they've been otherwise very transparent about the situation. They built and began selling something that clearly belongs to Valve's IP, then when asked to do so, took down all of their listings and provided refunds. They also went hat in hand to Valve to ask politely if they could still work out a deal. And when Valve said no, they stopped pushing. In the self-aware conclusion posted to their own subreddit, Dbrand even lands a CheckPoint-worthy Portal reference. Quote, we made something a lot of people were excited about, then incinerated our shot at bringing it to market. And to quote another fantastically snarky entity, unfortunately, the weighted companion cube must be euthanized.
And finally, in response to trends in the gaming industry, we'd like to announce that in 2028, CheckPoint will be digital only.
But to celebrate, we will be bringing back the CheckPoint mug
as a digital only download.
Coming up, an Xbox spokesman somehow claims the platform is, quote, not reducing our investment in games, while rumors swirl of even more studio closures and layoffs. Also, the recent investment was something like $70 billion, so I sure hope it's reducing. Good Sony story, by the way.
Thank you.
That is, what an amazing convergence of a bunch of shitty things.
There was a very news-filled week, which we don't always have. There's a bunch of stuff that we didn't even get to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Sony thing, they're like, yeah, we're doing away with discs, which just, like, this one's not quantifiable. Just feels wrong.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, there's all those valid reasons for it, or for valid reasons to not discontinue discs. And also, I just don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. There's the clip that we played at the beginning of in the Today, which if people don't remember what that is, that was when Sony back in the PS4 era was like, and this is how you share games with your friend.
Yeah.
Right? To make fun of Xbox going digital only. And, you know, here Sony is. So not like you can't allow a person to change their mind. I just want them to do it through growth.
Yeah.
You know, not through backpedaling, whatever. But
that video, by the way, was amazing at the time, and now all the most recent comments are just dumpstering them.
Yeah.
Then lots of people are dumpstering on them. Actually, on day of recording, it is the social media goof du jour.
Great.
With companies just roasting, like Domino's Pizza being like, in response to shifting industry trends, we haven't, as of April 1st, 2027, Domino's will be going digital only. We will no longer be releasing physical pizzas.
That's so good.
And like G Fuel and there's like a furniture company, and they're all just like, we will no longer be releasing physical stuff, but you can download digital G Fuel and remember the taste from our flavor catalog, all that sort of stuff. The Sony thing is like it's to discontinue it. Wouldn't it? I don't like it. But I don't think it would even be as contentious if they hadn't shown time and again that they're also garbage at the replacement.
Yeah.
At the digital only stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want to. And like, look, a comparison to Library of Alexandria is, I grant you it's extreme, but I would allege that the entire culture of it's not that deep is part of why we got here. Sometimes things are that deep.
Yeah, sometimes you can make a connection pretty quick, and it does mean something. I love that came the same time when Sony was like, we're also going to just throw out 550 titles, the Studio Canal that we license from them to put in the store because we don't want to relicense that. And it's like, yeah, so also if you own these movies, you don't anymore, and we're going to keep you from watching them, which
you
I'm
have
like...
no access to them anymore.
Yeah, and it's just, that's more of the same thing of we're cutting off access to media that you thought that you actually owned, that it's like none of this is an ownership exercise anymore. Even the thing where you think that you own a thing is never going to really be ownership. And so you have to put yourself in a position of, what do I want to do about owning anything that's a media product?
And what's extra funny is that an earlier draft of this story was like slightly more optimistic because there was, in 2021, they were like, we're doing away with all these storefronts. And people were like, well, no, don't, because then there's no way to get those things. And then they were like, okay, look, well, the PSP one is going away. Tough, but we will continue to support the PS3 and PS Vita shops because it's the only way to get a whole bunch of stuff. And so I had done a draft of the story with like showing that this is an example of when Sony was at least receptive to feedback. And then Paul was like, are you talking about this? And linked to an article from a couple days ago where they were like, also we're shutting down literally those stores. And I had missed. I had not seen that because I was so focused on the disc stuff and the Studio Canal thing that I hadn't seen that also, amusingly, the very thing that I'd referenced from 2021, they also, in another statement from the same day, were like, by the way, also we're shutting those stores down.
And the whole thing, my whole take on this story, if I was going to write it, was ultimately going to coincide. And I think Sony just doesn't want to be in the media business anymore, and they want to rely on what's actually making them money, private home insurance.
Are they another company that's their whole...
I'm pretty sure...
Is it like how McDonald's is actually a real estate company?
Yeah, I think it's there's something about them owning an insurance brand or something like that, and that makes them money too. And it's like, I mean, if the thing is, if you're a tech company and you want to be making money these days, it's your job is not in like making technology people want. It's in harvesting people's data and turning it into something that hates them. That's really where all the money is, obviously.
Great.
Yeah.
You wrote the story about this much lower stakes, which is lovely.
Yep.
About Hideki Kamiya talking about how wouldn't it be fun if Resident Evil was a cozy farming sim.
I didn't realize that that's been his dream this entire time. And frankly, good for him. That was like, you made the first 2 games, I think, and then went on to do whatever else.
He's such a weird guy.
But I just love the idea that, dude, you worked on Biohazard in the beginning then, like you directed that game. Clearly at the time people were like, hey, so it's a zombie game. And it's like, yes, I don't like scary stuff though, but I am going to make this zombie game. And it's like, okay. And then I'm going to make a sequel to the zombie game. Okay. And then you like, I can't make zombie games anymore. And that must have been such a relief to him to be able to be like, you know what? I don't have to make these zombie games anymore. And I don't want to, and I don't want to do scary stuff. He just wants to play the puzzles and do the combat. So he doesn't want to shoot already dead people. He just wants to like kill like monsters maybe, or like he doesn't want all this jump scare things, I think is what his problem is. So it's like, fine. Man knows what he wants. He's making a sequel to Okami. Good for him.
Cameron wrote the discussion of the Tim Sweeney interview, which it's so funny to me that Tim Sweeney is like, Valve should stop asking people to disclose when they use AI because that affects sales. And it's
a
like
scarlet letter.
Yeah, and it's like, now why is that, Tim?
Yeah.
Why is that? Is it because people don't like it and don't want it?
You can picture the goose chasing him, yelling that at him, right?
Yeah.
Like from the meme, that it's like, I get why this is your deal, is because it's impossible to make somebody work against their own paycheck. And in his case, AI inside Unreal Engine is his paycheck. And no matter what, it's like, everybody needs to get on board with the thing that is making me money. And like, that's not true at all.
Hey, I just need everyone to be really cool about this.
Yeah.
Why aren't you being cool about this? So yeah, you may have. I don't particularly hold any personal grudges to any people who play Fortnite, but I really liked Cam's wording of it, so I wasn't going to change it.
Yeah.
And then Nelson wrote the thing about Dbrand, who, this was one of those things where it's like, are we just marketing for them? Because Dbrand has like not courted controversy, like. But they're serial shit posters.
Oh yeah,
right.
The article I read opened with them saying, this is a company that told Nintendo to go fuck itself.
Yeah,
yeah.
But this seems like this seems uncharacteristically contrite for them.
Yeah,
where they're like, yeah, we actually really fucked up.
Which is weird in a way, because it's like they must have known it was like completely indefensible what they had done, and we're like, we need to actually be sorry, because if we're not sorry about this. People don't give a shit about us in the same way they give a shit about Portal.
Yeah, but also like you can tell Nintendo to go fuck themselves, and people will be like, haha, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you tell Valve to go fuck themselves, people will just be like, okay, well, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, Dbrand.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
yeah.
And then we mentioned it in the coming up, but yeah, there was this Xbox spokesperson who was like, we are not reducing our investment in games, which is like,
that's literally your job.
Obviously untrue.
Yeah.
Right? Like with all the games that you've canceled, the studios you've closed, the people you've laid off, that's exactly what you're doing. You are 100% reducing your investment in games
and yet,
publicly, obviously.
Yeah.
And now you are lying.
Yeah. Because it's like your whole job is that you're supposed to be making games and stuff, and you have been dismantling all this shit that you own now.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think is, it's like, is all that money, is all that time, all that person effort, like whatever you have there, is that supposed to be going into bigger, larger, more monolithic projects?
Well, because
I don't know,
the
like
follow-up
service games.
The follow-up in the same statement was that it's like, we're going to be releasing effectively the same number of video games this year that we did last year.
Okay.
And it's like, yeah, but you bought 12 other studios since then.
Yeah.
So only keeping even when you're buying all these other studios and hiring all these other people, that's bananas.
Yeah.
The idea that they're ruining all these people's lives, destroying all these companies, and messing with this industry, and they're not even going to save any money? Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
What was the point?
Bonkers. Which we thought was going to be the big story this week, until all the Sony stuff hit. And it's like, wow, that's actually pissed people off more than this.
You know what I thought would be the big story? This is one we didn't even get around to covering. Krafton has dropped their legal stuff. They're paying out the studio bonuses for Subnautica 2 because it's been selling very well.
Yeah.
It's not just going to the executives. Everyone in the company is getting some level of bonuses. And the CEO that they were court ordered to hire back on has gone, great, I'm leaving for real now on my terms, F you.
They've reached a legal settlement, is what they've said, to be, rather than any sort of ongoing suits and countersuits.
They have agreed to dismiss all legal proceedings.
Yeah. It almost felt like they walked into a room together and said, okay, what do you want? And they said, well, we want your ass gone. And he says, okay, well, then if you want my ass gone, here's how it's going to work, is you pay out everybody at the company, not just us and the people who were there at the time of the signing. Everybody gets a bonus. They get a better bonus. Show me what that better bonus looks like. And then they were probably like, this much? And maybe it was like, no, this much. Like, who knows, right? But at some point they said, this is an amount of money we agree on, and you say you're going to leave on your own, like on your own. It's like, I will absolutely mutually, like, we agree that I'm out of here.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to write down $5 on this piece of paper, and if we can reach an agreement, then we won't leave. All right?
Yeah.
So you decide. If that's how you want to be able to support us at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun or by becoming a member on this YouTube channel, you can go lower. There are lower options.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
$5 feels pretty good.
This is a negotiation. $5 feels great to us, but if you're like, I can only do 2, that's also fine.
Yep. There's also, though, you can go to Twitch because we also do a lot of Twitch streaming. And if you see us at Loading Ready Run on Twitch, right now there is a sub deal on
for gift subs.
Yeah. If you do 5 or more, you get to save 35%, which is kind of a fun way to spread the joy around with everybody else who's waiting to sub to the channel.
And in fact, if you want to hear deeper dive into some of these stories and others, Beej and Paul and Heather, of course, will be doing CheckPoint as they do every week. That also goes up on this YouTube channel. But they stream it live if you want to interact. That's at 1 p.m. Pacific on Friday?
Yes.
Yeah. So tune in for that. And mugs are not coming back, to be clear. That was not even digitally. No. But there are other things available at store.loadingreadyrun.com if you want to check that out.
Let's not weave any further off the rails.
Okay, bye.
Hideki Kamiya, formerly of Capcom and currently of Closers.
Capcom is for closers.
Mm-hmm. Instant hit!